ECU?
R.
Do you bleed purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors?
Hoist the colors!
It's time for the most in-depth look into the world of ECU athletics. Welcome to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Here's Stephen Igo.
Welcome into a new week. It is Monday, October 13th, and we're already 3 days out from ECU football's next game because the Pirates have another Thursday night game, another primetime ESPN matchup where plenty of eyes will be on them. They will host the Tulsa Golden Hurricane Conference opponent at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Front and center on ESPN will be the third straight game ECU has had on primetime ESPN at 7:30 for the Pirates on a Thursday. So we're getting used to this routine, although I do have to say, as we take the air live on Monday at 12 noon, still feels a little weird coming back from the weekend and already having that game almost here. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you got a question, a comment, concern, drop it there. Cameron's already in the chat. We'll read his comment here in a little bit. Feel free on these Mondays. We can guide the discussion in whatever direction you guys want to take it. We obviously have a former Pirate, Trey Savage, who will be on the bump around 5 o'clock Eastern tonight in a critical Game 2 matchup between the Mariners and Blue Jays of the ALCS. We can talk about that. We can get into the NFL, where the Carolina Panthers beat the Dallas Cowboys, and all of a sudden they have the best home field advantage in the league. Philip Pilkinen, our producer, was there and made the drive back to Greenville, so we'll get his take on that. So, look, another great sports weekend. Personally, for yours truly, as the Mariners are already up 1-0 in the ALCS, the Broncos won, and I'm sure some of you guys, Kenny Curlins, who is a Cowboys fan, it wasn't so great. He's in the chat as well. Philip Pilkinen, welcome into this winner's edition, I guess, of the lounge for me and you. The Broncos almost tried to blow it, but for me and you, man, it was a good weekend.
Yeah, it was until Ty Dillon tried to commit vehicular manslaughter on William Byron and, knocked him well below the playoff cut line last night. So that was rough.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was good. I was happy for your Mariners. Actually, I had to drive home after high school football Friday night, and my parents live about 5 minutes off the interstate. As I was pulling off the interstate, you guys walked it off, so I had 5 minutes of boredom for my entire drive home, so it was great. I got to listen to baseball the whole way. My Panthers win. The Broncos win. And, I was a little worried last night, Steven, going into the game because you used 3 starters in Game 5. And I was just worried about the depleted pitching staff. My dad and I were sitting there talking about it, and we were like, the Mariners are going to have to score runs in order to win this baseball game because Toronto's going to go out there and they're throwing their ace right now. And you guys it's not where you wanted to start a series, and to come out victorious, I think speaks a lot about your roster, and it's putting you guys in a really good spot moving forward.
Look, not to go full on Mariners, but they had 5 legit starters last year. Bryce Miller was number 5, and he just hasn't had a good season, but he looked like last year Bryce Miller, and that was huge. A lot of pressure on Trey Savage tonight, and man, what a weekend! Because I took Toronto and their run line -1.5 because I just thought the short turnaround going on the road. But man, baseball is crazy, man. You give a hot team a few days off. Seattle's riding that adrenaline. And they got the W and did enough offensively, got stellar pitching, and we'll see. A lot of pressure on Trey tonight, although he has said he's built for this. But, I mean, if you're Toronto, man, you don't want to go – you go 0-2 at home going back to Seattle, a fan base that's obviously starved to get to the World Series. Not that Toronto isn't as well, but that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, it's not a good place to be in. I think in baseball, man, it's tough, even if you are the road team, to go down 2-0. Home field advantage does mean something to an extent, but it's not like hockey where you get like the last change or anything like that. There's actually a schematic advantage. So I just think an 0-2 whole stuff to dig out of this day and time. Teams know how to defend it. Teams play a little more maybe conservative than they used to when they're up, and they know how to kind of let you slowly bleed out. So big game tonight for those guys. Big game for Trey. Big game for your guys.
All right, Kenny Curlin says he's going to mute any Cowboys talk, so I'll try to give you a warning when that comes in the program, Kenny. Brady Thomas, who is also a Cowboys fan, he's in the chat. He says, Happy American Basketball Media Day. And I got to be honest, until I saw Grady Dillon this morning, who's the director of Basketball Media Relations, I'm like, I didn't even realize today was Basketball Media Day. I feel like I think no matter where the American puts it, it's going to be tough with football season in full swing. But definitely when we have like our busiest day, covering ECU is on a Monday with the press conferences and everything, but like basketball media day just doesn't feel like it should be today. I don't know. Am I wrong?
Also, in the past, during COVID and immediately after, we could get credentialed via Zoom, and we can't do that. So I think we just kind of forgot. I'm just being honest. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just being honest.
And it's in Birmingham.
Yeah. Alabama, which fired their football coach.
Trent Dilfer out. It's a real shame that we never got East Carolina versus Trent Dilfer's UAB Blazers. I'm going to be honest. I really wanted Trent Dilfer to come into Dowdy Ficklen Stadium. And
now you just got to schedule Bowling Green and get I'm drawing a blank on his name. Dude, running back, played Ohio State.
Eddie George.
Titans, thank you, Eddie George, into Dowdy Ficklen Stadium.
So I'm trying to find like a schedule for the American Media Day so I can like actually see when ECU is going to talk. Because you're right. We used to be able to do these Zoom interviews, and right now we can't do them. So and let's just be honest. There's going to be zero ECU media there. They have Steven Sepulveda, the social media guy, going with Schwartz, Jordan Riley, and Giovanni Amajuru. But like, we're not there to ask questions. I guess ESPN will ask them some questions, but what's the point?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, we get just heads up, next Tuesday will be our local media day. So our Tuesday show next week will be a basketball-heavy show, recapping media day, kind of our thoughts and everything. It's a perfect week. Shout out to Grady Dillon for doing it on a bye week. That was something that he said that he wanted to make sure it was done on a bye week so that basketball could get their full coverage and that people weren't worried about football that week. So I guess I'll care about basketball next week. I mean, no disrespect to basketball, but it's just like we got a game on Thursday. Like,
it's a lot. And I'm not sitting here trying to complain about covering too many sports, but like, it's tough to get into basketball mode at this time. All right, Ryan Bender says it was at 11, so the exact same time as the Blake Harrell press conference. So let us know how it went, Ryan, and we'll do a Cliff Notes versions. Brady Thomas did say Field of 68 will have every American team and coach interviewed live on YouTube. Yeah, Jeff Goodman, who is with Field of 68, will be there. So we'll talk basketball next week. Appreciate you guys in the chat. All right, we got a lot of good comments I'll get to here in a minute. But first off, just overall, we just left the Blake Harrell presser. He said it best, like he's up there recapping the Tulane game. They're already closer to the Tulsa game than they were, having played the Tulane game this past Thursday. So we got him to recap that. And looking ahead to Tulsa, Trey Lamb, 2-4. The Tulsa Golden Hurricane are through 6 games. They are coming off a bye week. They lost to Memphis 45-7 in their most recent outing. Before that, had been pretty competitive in every game. Much improved team, as we learned in the preseason with our summer chat with Larry Lewis, which is why we're going to try to get Larry back on, and also why we took the over 2.5 wins back in, June? Yeah. So, look, we don't want it to happen this Thursday, but I feel pretty good about Tulsa getting over 2.5 wins. But I don't know, like ECU's a 16.5-point favorite. What's your vibe going into Thursday night?
Oh, it's a lot of points. Look, Tulsa is more mature than they've been the last few years. I think they're more well-coached. They're in a better headspace. And because of that, you're going to have to play your brand of football and play at a high level in order to beat them. Now, with that being said, they're still not very talented. And this is going to be one of those games. We saw it with Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State took them lightly. Oklahoma State lost, cost Mike Gundy his job. If the Pirates lose, which I don't think they will, this will not cost Blake Harrell his job. Obviously, he's been performing a lot better the last 365 days than Mike Gundy had. Sorry to pour salt in an open wound there, Brady Thomas. But with that being said, look, East Carolina knows they didn't play a complete game the other night. They know they're capable of doing it, and they know they can't shoot themselves in the foot. Got behind the 8 ball early, offense, defense, and special teams the other night. They know they can't do it. They're in a good headspace. I think fall break's helping too. A couple days here to just focus on football, not worry about class. So, they're in a good spot. Not worried that much about Thursday night if I believe in our boys.
Cameron says, I don't care what the score is Thursday. Would just like to see us put together 4 good quarters of play. And I think you said it best. Was it you after the game that was like, look, I just want to see at this point the offense play 4
I think it was Bobby that said it.
Yeah, well, either way, the defense had its issues, which we can get into at some time, stopping the pass, which I don't know when they're going to see another quarterback like Retzloff, standing deep in the pocket as he was, making some downfield throws. He made some pretty high-level throws. But like at the end of the day, man, the defense has played more than well enough through 6 games, and the offense just has been too much all or nothing. Like there's been no game where like they just look good over 4 quarters outside of the Campbell game.
Yeah.
But FBS opponents, like it has been great or nothing.
Yeah, I think the only half that I feel like was not great or nothing maybe was the first half against Coastal. It seemed
They just couldn't
okay.
score in the red zone.
Yeah, they just couldn't score in the red zone. It just didn't seem fluent, but it seemed effective. And then the second half was a bloodbath. So that'd be my asterisk to that comment, my only one, because you're right. Other than that, the other 11 halves of football they've played this year, it seems to have been all or nothing. So look, this is a team where you can't do that. I think. Well, I shouldn't say you can't do it. When you do, you can do what you did in the first half against Coastal and maybe be okay. You don't want to, but you should be okay because at least against Coastal, they never shot themselves in the foot. They never gave Coastal an opportunity. They never gave Coastal momentum. But we need to see it. And I think they need to see it too because, look, at the end of the day, Temple's going to score some points. I'm not saying they're going to beat us, but the offense is going to have to play because that team's going to score some points. I got a lot of faith in our defense. I think they'll keep it maintainable, but they're not going to go out there and only let up 10. And Memphis, a couple weeks later, offense is going to have to prove to play 4 complete quarters. They have the capability. They've got to prove it to themselves.
Yeah, and it's just, man, it's like they get that initial first down, and if they can avoid the penalties, they get rolling. But it feels like they can't overcome any sort of negative play right now, whether it's a penalty or a TFL or a sack, which, look, that is a big part of offensive success. You look at the analytics, 2nd and 5 is much better than 2nd and 15 or whatever. But, like, it almost feels like if they get out of rhythm at all, they can't function. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, and a lot of that is your tempo. That's what you practice. But at some point, you got to be able to overcome that more consistently, too.
Tulane did it twice the other night. And that's the thing. And you're right, everything like staying ahead of the change, you're going to most likely be successful. But great teams can do it when the things go wrong. And that's the thing that I think East Carolina is still trying to figure out. Are you a good team or are you a great team? This is definitely a good football team. They can win 7 games. That's never been a question.
Yeah.
Are they great? Can they go out there? Can they hang with Memphis? Do they stand a chance still to win a conference championship?
And you're right. You can get away with that against Tulsa if you go out there and mess around a little bit. But, like, at some point, you got to put – we had the discussion Friday – you got to put the 4 quarters together or you just are what you are. Like, you're entering that point of the season where, like, if you don't start doing it soon, you're just going to be like a good team that could have been a great team. And so, the focus has to be on the details and, just hopefully the Pirates can take that next step. Again, they are big favorites at home against Tulsa on paper, but this is a Tulsa team, as they showed versus Oklahoma State. Look, I know that Oklahoma State is bad this year, but still, Oklahoma State let them hang around. And obviously, the Golden Hurricane took advantage of that. They hung around for a bit in the Tulane game before, before Tulane pulled away in the second half, I should say. So, in the second game of the year, they lost their quarterback to injuries. Otherwise, they probably would have won that at New Mexico State. So, I think they're better than the record. They're certainly capable of coming in here and winning the football game if ECU is as inconsistent as they have been, especially offensively. All right, let's get a break in. When we come back, we will get to more of your questions. We've got Kenny Curlins wants to know about the 3rd and goal at the 1 situation. We asked Blake Carroll about that today. Also, we got an injury update on Bryce Weaver, starting right tackle, so we'll talk about that a little bit as well. And any other questions you guys have, drop in the chat. We'll get to it. Over the course of the next hour, this is Hoist the Colors on a Monday.
The team of Flatlands Jessup is working overtime to help ensure that Eastern North Carolinians like you get the health insurance help you need this open enrollment period. New legislation passed meaning more people than ever qualify for affordable coverage. Let us help you today.
Big tax credits are back. Get a 30% tax credit, up to $2,000 off your new Mitsubishi electric heat pump install. Let Comfort Master help you take advantage of the tax credits with a qualifying Mitsubishi electric ducted heat pump or non-ducted Mitsubishi electric mini splits. Mitsubishi electric mini splits are ideal for bonus rooms, garages, or sunrooms. If you need a new HVAC unit, call Comfort Master today.
Call Comfort Master. Call Comfort Master.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Healthwise Pharmacy rounds the bases with all of your infusion, retail, compounding, and medical equipment needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, Healthwise has grown to be your most trusted provider for infusion services. Currently providing in-home or on-site infusions in North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. Visit Healthwise Pharmacy at 615B South Memorial Drive or call 252-295-0059 to speak to a patient service representative to find the option that best suits your needs.
Tired of the 1-800 numbers advertising Medicare products? Flatlands Jessup has 6 offices all throughout eastern North Carolina. Get face-to-face help from our local award-winning licensed team. Stop by today. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arg!
In this age of globalization, we've learned that bigger isn't always better. Ever tried to get phone help from a big corporation from a real person? Right. That's what's so nice about Phelps Chevrolet. After more than 50 years serving our community, Phelps remains family-owned and operated. Mike, Daryl, Wave, West, Alan, and Clay deliver hometown service and integrity, same as always. They share your experience, they share your values, and they are ready to help with any motoring need. Come get you one.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors on a Monday. It was just texting our good friend Bobby Harwood, who should join us Thursday and Friday this week. He's put in the overtime lately with all these Thursday games. He's given me the Tulsa scouting report. Played a lot of deep coverage against Memphis. So we'll get more on Tulsa. We'll also try to catch up with Larry Lewis, our guy on the Golden Hurricane, in the coming days. All right, some comments here. Kenny Curlings says 3rd and goal on the 1, and we still line up in the shotgun, plus players run all over the place. Drives me crazy. Line up behind the center and play big boy ball, please. So a couple things here, Kenny. Understand your point, and Philip Pilkington will weigh in as well. So we did ask Blake Harrell about that situation. He said that they're awaiting word from the conference on like what exactly should have happened there with the referees, because a lot of confusion. And look, you got to start with ECU. I thought ECU, they have the catch at the 1-yard line. They did want to go bigger personnel there, Kenny. They may have gone under center because Tulane was trying to get its nickel out of the game. ECU was trying to get an extra tight end on the field, so they may have done that. But you can't go under center. You can go under center with your smaller personnel, but they didn't really have the personnel to do that advantageously. So they were trying to go probably to an under center or power running formation. That's why there was the confusion with the sub. But again, this is a tempo-oriented offense. If you stick with your personnel, maybe you rush, and just go with your normal formation and run it in, because Tulane seemed on its heels defensively. Either way, ECU opts to sub. There's confusion. Darius Bell, the center, I guess, does not hear that ECU is subbing. The referee from the back, who's supposed to stand over the ball and basically put his hand on the center's back to let him know that he can't snap it until the defense is done subbing. He was late getting down. So then what happened was you had the defensive end for Tulane. He jumps across the line, or the nickelback, whoever it was, jumps across the line to run to their sideline. That's when he snapped the ball. So there's a ton of confusion. ECU gets charged with the delay of game penalty. It was a delay of game because you're not allowed to snap the ball in that instance, or you're delaying the game while there's a substitution going on. So that's what they called the penalty, what it was. But still, Philip, a lot of confusion there. You can obviously second-guess the situation, because if you score a touchdown there, it really flips the entire feeling of the game. And I felt like if ECU just would have rushed to the line, and maybe I'm wrong, but they seem to have momentum maybe they just keep it going there and score. It's always easy to second guess, but either way, Blake Harrell said today they've got to do a better job being consistent in executing there. Like you got to be ready for that situation as an offense if you are going to sub there.
You do, and the tough thing is I feel like we were very successful in our tempo in the red zone. So that's what I think maybe made it a little more frustrating. It's like, dang, why are we subbing? But I do get it. You want to get your guys on the field. You've got a mindset. You've put plays in this week, throughout the week, that you want to run inside the 5, and you're trying to get to those. And, it was an unfortunate circumstance, but if the referees had any sort of, or the officials, had any sort of, wits about them, they would have blown it dead, and it'd have been nothing. It just would have, hey, you weren't supposed to snap the ball. We were out of position. That's where you want to go. You one of those, hey, they couldn't snap. You just announce it. The officials were not in position to officiate. It's what you say, and you're done. They do it all the time in the NFL where balls have been snapped and guys are out of spot on the officials, and you just say that was the issue, and you move on. And for them to throw a flag was really stupid, really immature. And the problem was they're the ones that screwed up, and then they punish us. So now that's not an excuse for the fact that we're able to punch the ball in the end zone. It's frustrating. It's just kind of been the thing with this team, but I'm just glad to see that improved red zone team overall. Yeah, they weren't perfect, but they were improved, and sometimes you just can't flip the switch overnight. You got to take baby steps, and I think maybe we took at least toddler to young little kid steps. It was a good step.
Kitty Curlin says we continue to make mistakes and bad play calling on the goal line, and like Philip said, they did improve in the red zone. It's just that was the glaring issue. Otherwise, they looked good in the red zone with that tempo. The blocking on the perimeter for the Brock Spalding swing pass was elite. I mean, you can't block better than that on the perimeter by Yannick Smith, Anthony Smith. So a lot of it just comes down to execution, man. If the players execute, and I will say I do think that was kind of an all-around cluster, like messed up situation, the 3rd and goal. Like that's one you got to be better at as a team and referees. Like you can't just blame it on the referees. Don't even give them the chance to mess it up.
Yeah.
So the whole thing needs to be better there, and I'm sure ECU is addressing that. But yeah, that was a glaring mistake and one you feel like you'd love to have back. Newton Smith says it doesn't matter what they do quarter by quarter as long as they rally and put up a win. A win is a win is a win. Well, Newton, the reason they lost to Tulane and NC State BYU is because they failed to be consistent quarter by quarter. So that's kind of the point we're making. Like you can't do that against good teams.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, if you play 1 or even 2 bad quarters and you win, who cares? But the thing is, we haven't. We're 3-3.
3-3. Pirate 2031 says this Tulsa game is a trap game. We better play well, or we all be disappointed. You lose this game, it swings your season the complete other direction. So massive game. Look, they're all big at this point. When you're 3-3, obviously you're fighting for bowl eligibility. You're still alive for a conference championship. You can't afford a letdown. So I think ECU will be ready to go. They seem pretty ticked off after the game. But Tulsa's off a bye. They're going to come in ready, and they've won on a national spotlight game earlier this season at Oklahoma State. They've got the players. They've got some real pieces too. So if ECU sleeps on Tulsa, they'll be in for a rude awakening. There's zero doubt about that after watching them with the eye test this year. All right, one thing I wanted to bring up is the running back situation. Going into the game, I had heard that ECU wanted to ideally kind of like trim it down to 2, and instead we got 4 now. And like the good news is they've all shown flashes, but the biggest surprise was the emergence of TJ Engelman, who went in there with the game on the line, and man, he just looked quick and decisive hitting the hole. So now you have not only Marlon Gunn, London Montgomery, Parker Jenkins, you have TJ Engelman, who looks like a viable guy to get snaps. He looked comfortable catching the ball as well, like catching it and getting it upfield. So what do you make of this, man?
Well, right now, if you do want to hit a home run play for East Carolina in the running game, I think he gives you the best shot. He's the best one-cut-go guy. And Panda asked you when we talked to him today, said that he felt like that TJ hits the hole really well. Tough thing, and you and I and Bobby were talking about this, or maybe it was just me and Bobby when you weren't on yet on Friday. Obviously, you had to sign in from your Airbnb there with Scooter. Is he good enough in pass pro to be an every down back? And right now, we haven't seen enough. Not that I think he's terrible in pass pro, but that's so much of playing the running back position. A lot of guys coming out of high school are not very good at pass pro. TJ England's only a redshirt freshman. So obviously he practiced all of last year, but I didn't see any game action. So it'll be interesting to see if he does emerge as that guy, but there's more to playing running back than just running and catching the football.
7 pass per opportunities thus far on the season has not a lot of pressure per Pro Football Focus, but obviously that's something if teams know he's going to be the guy or play more, you can target a running back in pass pro in many ways. I mean, still, you look at the last game, there were a few busted protections. I want to say Marlon and London Montgomery were charged with one. I have to double-check the tape. And it looked like at one point, luckily there was an offsides penalty, but it almost like Jenkins left the backfield too early on one, and Caton got smoked on a blitz. So that's the thing, man, is running with the football is good, but if you can't pick up your blocking assignments, that's just as important. You can't allow your quarterback to be taking free shots. So I just don't know, man. Like I just don't know if there's a true number one running back. So I think it's going to be we're 6 games in now. I love what I saw to TJ. And it's been what I've seen since he got here in the scrimmages, man. He just consistently gets positive yardage. And that's the one thing I do like about him. But I just think it's going to be a hot hand situation from game to game the rest of the season. I just don't know if one of these guys is necessarily going to separate from the rest of the group.
I think if you keep feeding the hot hand, you hope somebody does. But the only way you're going to find out is if you feed the hot hand. So, the way that second half played out, as long as he had a good week of practice, I say feed TJ early. If he continues, as of now, he's the number one. Not saying this set in stone, it's, lasered in, but, hey, do what you got to do. Be successful. And right now, looks like he's it.
We talked about it through the first 3 or 4 games, just there were a lot of missed cuts, and it felt like when TJ came in, there were a lot few missed cuts. Now, the O-line was getting excessive push at times. They also ran some gap stuff with some pulling tackles. One of those third downs, Cooper Trubnasky had a great block as a pulling tackle.
That was nice to see a little not inside zone every play.
Yeah, just some different calls. And shout out to Cooper, who had a tough start to the season. He came off the bench, Marlio Neolian making his first career start, struggled early in pass pro, and Cooper came off and played really well. And today, Blake Harrell did say that Bryce Weaver going to miss several weeks with surgery, had a stress fracture in his foot. And so you hate that because anytime you lose a tackle, it's problematic. And, Cooper and Marlio and Jason Tarpe, your backup tackles, those guys are going to have to step up because it sounds like Bryce is going to be out a while. So that's a concern going forward, losing Bryce Weaver.
It is, and this is one of the more veteran guys in this offensive line right now. But Panda talked today about how close this new unit is when he was asked about the injury. And the tough thing is, I think they like each other. They want each other to succeed. They're not necessarily pulling against one another. So that they're hey, I'm on the sideline. I want to get more playing time, kind of thing. I think this group is tight. The tough thing is, and I think because of that, they know what to do and how to do it. The question is the talent there? Are they ready to play FBS college football at this speed? And sometimes you find out it's kind of trial by fire. So obviously we wish them the best, and I think there's an opportunity here for one of these guys to step up and be the next guy. I think they can do it. This question is, are they quite ready right now? I don't know, but the only way to simulate game reps is get your rear end in the game. So here we go.
All right. Couple comments here from Kenny Curlins. He says, why are we not using Petaway's speed down the field? They have thrown to him 90% of the time behind the line of scrimmage.
We're asking the same question.
I agree. I mean, I don't get it. But look, they see these guys in practice every day. So maybe he just can't track the football. Some guys struggle to track the football down the field over the shoulder. Maybe he's one of those guys. Otherwise, why not? If he's that fast, why aren't we seeing it?
Well, if he's struggling to track the football, send him to baseball practice one day and have Jeff Palumbo hit balls over his shoulder and have him track that.
Fungo after fungo.
Yeah, why not?
The other thing with Quez that's just tough right now is, look, he had 26 snaps the other night, which were a season high, but that meant Brock Spalding only had 39 of your 79 snaps. So, who do you want on the field right now, Brock or Jaquez? I want Brock Spalding.
I want Brock. However, and this is no knock on Brock, you'd rather Jaquez be there just because I think he's a better pure athlete, just like God-given athletic ability. However, to this point, Brock's been a better football player, and there's a lot more to being a football player than being an athlete. Right now, yeah, it's Brock.
So, I mean, that's your dilemma is, and if you go Brock and Jaquez, obviously you're taking Anthony or Yannick out. So it's
Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with just no tight end. One back, no tight ends. Let's go. Let's see some.
I just think that, does the offense have too many, like we're complaining about Mike Wright, Jaquez, the running backs, like do they have too many weapons? Is it like, it almost feels like they try too hard. Which is like maybe our problem because we're always complaining about it.
No, it's not our problem. And here's the problem. And the reason why it's not our problem is because they haven't played 4 consistent quarters of football. That's why we got questions. If they were out there and we were 6-0 or 5-1 and we didn't, have a goose egg in the first half or whatever this past week, we wouldn't care that certain guys weren't getting the football. But when we're frustrated, we're going to ask questions. And so that's the thing. Hard times make for hard thoughts and hard questions, I guess. And I shouldn't say it's hard times. I mean, it's not like the offense stinks or I have no faith in them. But I think just the frustration of not putting 4 quarters together, and paired with a 500 record right now, which honestly, we're looking at this from a pessimistic standpoint. If you told any of us at the beginning of the season we'd be 500 right now, we'd be like, okay, not exactly where I wanted to be, but, also it looks like nothing bad's happened, right? That means we knew we'd beat either Army or Tulane because we just didn't want to start 2-4. So it's really not that bad. We're being, I think, as a group, everybody, fans, you, me, are being a little more maybe pessimistic about the situation than we should be. But also we see the potential of this team, and I think we're holding this team to an extremely high standard because we really do believe in this ball club.
Very well said. Very well said. 3-3. A lot of people I think would have taken with and again we talked about Friday too, like knowing the questions of the defense. It's just crazy. The offense has kind of been the lackluster unit at times. Johnny Robertson adding, I don't always agree with PFF. Did you see their new elusiveness ratings? They have Engelman as the 4th most elusive runner, with Jenkins as number 1, Montgomery number 2, and Gunn number 3. I have not seen those ratings. I would imagine they're based upon just making missed tackles, and they technically gave Jenkins, Montgomery, and Gunn 1 missed tackle apiece forced. Engelman had 0. But, elusiveness, to me, just looking at a guy, how quickly he moves is more important than, all right, he ran through a tackle.
Well, also, if you're elusive enough, you won't have to dodge tackles, just run by guys.
There's no doubt Engelman has the most, to me, wiggle among the backs. It's clear as day. So, we'll see. All right, final question here. We'll get a break in. Kenny Crown says, what happened with the punt game? Wow, that was bad. I mean, you tried 2 different punters, and they both shanked one. Tulane did come after one. I can't remember if it was O'Halloran or Levy, but that forced it seemed like a rush. But either way, man, you can't be shanking 2 punts.
You can't. It's frustrating. Actually, I want to talk to Andrew about this a little bit just because he knows way more about punting than any of us ever will.
Yeah.
But I will say, for somebody punted a little bit on JV, punting's actually weird. You do actually hit the ball off the side of your foot. You don't think you do, but you do, and you rely on the spin to kind of bring it back. So if you don't swing your leg with enough, if you just slightly false step and you don't swing your leg with as much power as you normally do, it's very easy to hit it off the side of your foot because that's really what you're doing. You're just not getting the speed. So it's frustrating. Again, they're Division I punters. It shouldn't happen, especially twice in one game. But I do just want people to realize it's a hell of a lot harder than it looks. Just trust me.
There's our punting expert, Philip Pilkington, breaking down the mechanics. We will get a break in. We'll come back. We'll talk about Treya Savage starting tonight for the Blue Jays. What's a fair expectation for the former Pirate going to tonight? We'll also look around also at the NFL. So, Kenny, get ready to mute if you don't want to hear Philip's take on Panthers-Cowboys. And if you guys have any more ECU questions, drop those. We will continue to get to those, obviously, as we continue on Hoist the Colors. We will be right back.
Storm season is approaching. North Carolina weather can damage your roof, and before long, a small leak can turn into a big problem. Your home is one of your biggest investments, so protect it with Wells Home Improvements.
We work with all insurance companies for a hassle-free roof installation experience. Call us today and get 10% off your roof installation when you mention this commercial.
252-227-8403 or visit us online at wellshomeimprovements.com. Wells Home Improvements. Local, honest, dependable.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human. About creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
You have a choice when you invest in insurance, and when you choose First State Insurance Advisors, you're working with people you can trust. Clark Stallings has deep ties in the community. His team, including Keaton Smith, Regina Asby, Phil Leyva, Max Joyner Jr., Max Joyner III, and Ginger Smith, provides knowledgeable and professional advice. First State Insurance Advisors is an independent insurance agency. They offer all types of personal insurance as well as various types for business. Call or email First State Insurance Advisors today. We want to be your trusted choice agency.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown. At National Finance, we're all about hometown support, just like ECU football. National Finance helps us win on and off the field. They've got your back when you need it most. Fast, easy personal loans for life's big plays. And just like us, they're committed to Eastern North Carolina. National Finance, proud supporters of ECU athletics. Visit nfcmoney.com for loans as fast as today.
Get ready to board. We're live with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game. Now, back to Hoist the Colors.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors, third segment here. All right, a couple things before we get to NFL and Trey Savage going for the Blue Jays tonight. Johnny Robertson said Anthony Smith was targeted 7 times, had 2 receptions in the Tulane game. I feel like Caton threw some good balls, but Tulane's cornerback, number 11, Shine, was repeatedly allowed to make contact just before the ball arrived. Yeah, and really until the final drive, Johnny, I noticed, watching first half from the field and then the second half from the box, which is the lowest press box to the ground in college football, it feels like at least. A lot of contact was given. The refs decided to call it that way, and, as an offense, you just kind of have to make that adjustment once you realize that they're going to let them play in the secondary. But they had a lot of sticky coverage. They were very aggressive. Good for them. They went man a lot. They went to some sticky zone, and they played like that, and they forced ECU to be uncomfortable. And that was a good approach by John Summerall's team, but definitely got away with some contact. And if they're not going to call it, I would hope ECU would try the same. Which is why Blake was pretty upset when there was a PI called on ECU at one point that seemed uncatchable. But good observation there. John Moody says, I think this is the first time I can remember seeing an ECU coach use a helicopter during recruiting. Pretty cool to see. Yeah, Blake Harrell flew to the Jack Britt Richmond County high school game on Friday. Taronde Spencer, ECU commit. And there's also a Liberty commit on Jack Britt, so they were going there to watch that. Pretty cool. There's some video on Facebook. Somebody posted on Hoist the Colors as well. And then Robert Matthews adding any information or breakdowns on the scrimmage game in Greensboro Saturday. If you go to Hoist the Colors, our old friend, Kason Ramaley, was there, and he had basically a live updates thread, major play-by-play events. He shared his thoughts, analysis. So if you go to Hoist the Colors on our message board, you can read all that. Robert Kason Ramaley posted that. So doing it out of the goodwill of his heart, Philip, that Kason Ramaley. So what a good guy. What a guy.
And then he had to drive to Charlotte yesterday.
That is. And he was there for Panthers Cowboys. And how does it feel, Philip, to be a fan of the best home field advantage in the NFL?
We're the only team undefeated at home.
There's got to be another, but I'm just going to roll with the Panthers.
Yeah, the Eagles have lost. Bills have lost. Maybe the Eagles haven't lost at home. I don't remember. It's weird, man. I feel like that Saints team from a few years ago that went 8-0 at home and 0-8 on the road. That's not going to happen. But it's nice to be promoted from bad to below average. That's kind of fun, right? At least like when you're below average, you don't mind watching them every week. So that part's good. It was really good walking out of the stands, not hearing Weedham Boys and all the Cowboy fans who probably don't even know what the capital of Texas is, all shut up, which was great. I will say, though, this, man, Cowboy fans and Panther fans are alike in one way. They are not loud. And I've always heard that Jerry World's cool, but, they don't get rowdy. Even when the Panthers had the ball on third down, there was enough Cowboy fans there to, get up and get hype and make a difference, and they just didn't do it. They'll, loudmouth and talk, and not all of them, obviously. And they're flashy. They're the Cowboys. But then they don't just, there's not any just, defense screaming, banging on chairs kind of thing you would think. Like when the Eagles fans come in, they try and, on third down, wreak havoc to your quarterback. And Dallas fans were just kind of monotone, maybe was the word to use. But, hey, at the end of the day, you get the win. And I think the hardest part walking out for the Cowboy fans, some of them were just ticked off they lost to the Panthers. There's one guy who's just kind of can't believe we just lost to the blank Panthers. But, he was just some young loudmouth dude. Most of them, I think, were hitting the realization that they're not probably going to make the playoffs this year. Just in general, they're wow, we're average. And that part, I think, was kind of tough for them. And Panthers fans are hey, we're average. We don't suck. This is good.
It's all about expectations, man. I was texting, or I guess we were talking with Corey Glore on the air.
Yeah.
And he was saying last week, always expect the worst. Have he was basically saying, have a loser's mentality going into every game as a sports fan, and that way you can't be disappointed. But that's part of it. I'm generally a pessimistic sports fan when it comes to my teams.
Yeah. Your team looked bad the other day, but they won.
Gosh. They were playing the Jets, by the way. The Panthers, did I hear today that they're a underdog to the Jets?
Who are coming back from London without a bye.
I mean, it does spell trap game. By the way, the Panthers got at Jets, Buffalo, and then at Green Bay. So if they could win the Jets game, I might actually buy into the fact that they're a solid football team. Because that's a sneaky, tough game.
Yeah, and they're over. They're going to be doing everything they can to win the game. They've been in every game. It's not like they're getting blown out. They finally forced a takeaway the other day. First takeaway they've had all year.
Yeah. Gosh.
Okay, should that have been reviewed? I didn't think that was a catch. I never thought he caught it.
It was the same thing that happened later in the game that they did review and overturned. When Garrett Wilson called a ball and didn't catch it, he called it, turned, fumbled, and they reviewed that one and called it a incomplete pass. But they called, Franklin's a completion fumble. I still don't know what a catch is, man. It is what it is.
Neither do the officials.
Yeah. You got 2 games tonight, Buffalo and Atlanta, and then Chicago and the Commanders. The NFL is just it's crazy, man. Seattle goes to Jacksonville. We were all on this game. Bobby, you and I, we all picked Seattle for some reason. I don't think either of us feel great about it, but Seattle went there and dominated Jacksonville after the Monday night win, and we were all right. It's just, those fishy lines in the NFL, which is why I'm probably going to take the Jets. Usually I roll with them.
Yeah, I think you have to. There must be a script. I think they do the fishy lines. Everybody bets against them, and Vegas calls up the NFL. It's you can't let this team win this game. It's probably all rigged. But I don't know, man. I just thought Seattle, to me, it was one of those things where they were coming off the tough loss to Tampa, and Jacksonville was feeling almost too good about themselves. I think Jacksonville's a solid team, Jansen. I'm sure he's watching. I think you guys are a 10 or 11 win football team, but I just don't think you're a Super Bowl contender. And I think maybe they felt like they were after beating Kansas City. And Seattle's probably in the same boat, but they were kind of ticked off at the way they played down the stretch there against Tampa.
Tampa goes to 5-1 as they win again. The Chiefs might be back as well. Wanted to also just hit on the coaching carousel. We mentioned Trent Dilfer earlier. We'll take a look around the American tomorrow. I know somebody mentioned the Temple game. We'll dive into that tomorrow or Wednesday. But obviously the firing of James Franklin, seemed like it was only a matter of time after the UCLA loss. Certainly you lose to Northwestern, and they go ahead and decide to pull the trigger. Drew Aller out for the year. It's just crazy, man. $50 million they're eating. And I get it, you got to do it because everybody else fires their coach, even with the just insane amount of money. But, how much money are we just going to continue to just waste in college athletics. Like all these teams are spending tens of millions of dollars for crap products. They're spending $50 million to fire coaches. I mean, what are we doing, man? Like the whole thing is stupid.
Hey, we're getting an IGO rant. I love it.
I mean, it's just like there's so much in the world that there's so many people out there who could use some resources, some money, and we're paying coaches $50 million to fire them.
I know.
mean, it's
and then
ridiculous.
you got group of 5 teams and FCS teams, athletic departments scraping by.
Yeah,
operating in the
everybody's
red.
losing money.
Yeah.
And we just keep spending more money and just keep doing stupid things because we're all crazy. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We all just love to see our teams win. We'll do whatever it takes, including just wasting millions of dollars.
Living vicariously through our teams, man.
That's what it's
Hey,
all
when
about.
you don't make it, when you ain't good enough to make it, you just got to pull for somebody who is.
It's just crazy. We're also the Oregon State coach fired as well, Trent Bray, I think is his name.
Sure, they're 0-7. They look really bad.
0-7. And App State stormed the field, by the way, when they beat them.
They stormed the field for beating. No, wait.
For beating Oregon State.
They didn't play them this past week. I thought Oregon State played Wake.
It was a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So Oregon
What?
State, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, well, we got to talk about this. How stupid. We knew App fans were stupid. You stormed the field because you beat Oregon freaking State. I mean, if you beat them in baseball, okay. Storm the field.
Somebody told me they stormed the field after every win, which
is
like
okay.
if so, why?
So it's not like you like storm. You like what everybody clear off and everybody kind of runs because like I feel like our high school team did that. Like once we shook hands, they would all run out to us like the student section would after we won. But it wasn't like a true storm where you had like dudes jumping out of the stands onto the track. So as long as I guess you like wait till they get off the field, like the opposing team gets off, that's different. That's just kind of jogging out there. But a true storm.
I mean, I'm seeing that their own fans are commenting so embarrassing that our students stormed the field after being an 0-6 team. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's bad.
I don't know. Somebody, if you're an App person, let me know. Maybe they just take the field after every win versus storming the field. Like you said, there's a difference. All right, let's. Josh Jackson says best job is a fired college head football coach. Yep. I mean, think about it. Mike Houston is volunteering at Memphis right now Clemson because ECU is still paying him. So like it is a pretty sweet gig out after you get over the initial embarrassment. All right, let's get our break in. Our final break. Zach wants to talk about Trey Savage and his comments about his family being attacked. We can get into that and also look ahead to tonight's game. It'll be 5 o'clock. Blue Jays Mariners, what to expect from Savage in his second postseason start. We will be right back.
It's time to soak up the savings at Greenville Toyota. Summer is here with hot deals on a great selection of new Toyotas, like a Corolla, $189 a month, or Tacoma, $279 a month. Soak up the savings at Greenville Toyota.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
Daughtridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Daughtridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Daughtridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville, we've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
My hair is definitely a reflection of who I am. Wild, fun, fiery for sure.
It just goes with the flow.
Me and my hair, both untamable.
I wear it how I feel.
Feel fearless.
Feel empowered. Look fantastic.
Look fantastic.
Look fantastic.
Feel unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
The sun is out, and so are the deals at Greenville Toyota. Soak up the savings on a hot selection of new Toyotas, like a Camry, $229 a month, or RAV4, $289 a month. Soak up the savings at Greenville Toyota.
Purple and gold.
Yo ho ho!
And we're back to Hoist the Colors with Steve Igo on 94.3 The Game.
Welcome back in. Hoist the Colors. Final segment here. A lot of good ECU talk today. And we'll close with a former Pirate taking the mound tonight. Trey Savage. It'll be a 5 o'clock Eastern start on Fox/FS1. Blue Jays need a win as they are taking on the Mariners, who took Game 1 of the ALCS. And a lot of pressure on Trey. The Jays are favored tonight. He is opposing Logan Gilbert. And, interesting matchup. Obviously, Seattle's never seen Trey. And you got your Savage coming off a historic performance against the Yankees, back at home. The crowd will be into it, should be into it, and I don't know. Like, it just feels like with him pitching so good in Game 1, what are the expectations for Trey? I hope they're not too high in Toronto, but, like, back's against the wall already. If you go back to Seattle 0-2 like we talked about, it's a problem. So I think Toronto fans are hoping for another strong performance from Trey. But I think if he goes out there, goes 5 innings, gives up 2 runs or less, like, that's a success. You can't expect him to just dominate every time out.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's not Skubal, he's not Skeens. He could become that one day, maybe. I don't know. Probably not quite that level, but he could. But right now, yeah, you just need quality starts. And to think he's going to retire 16 of 17 batters and only 1 walk again is just not realistic. But I think the pressure's on Trey because, like you said, the situation. You don't want to go down 0-2 after 2 home games, more so than it's, hey, you pitched well last game, you got the pressure to pitch well this game. For some guys it might be like that, but Trey's been in these moments, man. He knows. This isn't some guy that went to some Janko school who was never in big moments as a college athlete. Like, Trey's ready. It's just a matter of whether or not, he executes. And like you said, it's all about winning the baseball game right now. It's not really about Trey pitching well. It's about the team winning the game.
Kind of a weird matchup. Like, you have Seattle, which is – both teams can hit home runs. Seattle is like almost all or nothing at the plate. They strike out a ton. The over for Trey Savage strikeouts is 5.5. Obviously, that's where it's minus 133 versus plus 105 for under. So, like, they're expecting him to more likely go over. I would think if he goes into the 5th, he's definitely striking out over 5.5. Seattle swings and misses a lot. So, as long as he just doesn't get himself in crucial hot water early, I think he'll get a ton of swing and miss on that split fastball combo. It is kind of weird, though, the Jays, like, Gosman is almost the exact same pitcher.
Yeah, I know, right?
So that you kind of give it didn't matter much versus the Yankees, obviously, but you kind of give the opposing team really the same pitcher back-to-back. So I wonder if the Jays, if they go further in this thing, do they try to separate that? Because Gosman is all fastball split with a little slider mixed in. Trey's almost the same as that guy.
That is interesting.
Different arm angle, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of those where you think maybe you switch it up if you get into a situation where you get some decent time off between this series and next if you're lucky enough to advance. But it's so tough right now. So tough to navigate these things.
And I guess they just don't have many other starters.
You don't. That's the tough thing, man. Their starters are banged up. So, we'll see. I think it's something you will definitely look at next year, though, when you look at your rotation.
All right, Zach wanted to say, speaking of crazy, how about people attacking your Savage's family on social media? So, yeah, I saw this cut yesterday. Trey opening his press conference with this, and I was like, did I miss something? Because I don't remember any reports or, like, any stuff out there about what was said about Trey Savage's family. But I guess somebody, and I don't think anything's come out to my knowledge, but I guess somebody said something to either his family or DMing his, somebody with, his girlfriend or family or brother or something. I don't know. But somebody had to say something because Trey's not going to go out of his way to address it like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's just kind of sad. I would guess, I'm not going to just pigeonhole Yankees fans as like it was probably them, but like who else would it be? He dominated for the Blue Jays in the postseason, so somebody took exception to it and said something to somebody that he cares about. So I don't know, man. Just people are dumb.
People are, and definitely don't go after a guy's family. But I do want to remind everybody that athletes and coaches, like, they're human beings first. I think we sometimes think that they're like larger than life. It's almost like, when you're in second grade and you think your teacher doesn't actually have a life outside school, you think they just kind of lock them in the teacher's lounge at night and they just kind of like shut down and then wake back up to teach you the next day. And then, when you hit fourth grade, you realize that's not a thing. It's the same thing with these athletes, man. Look, they're human beings first. Treat them as such. Yeah, you want them to do well. Yeah, it's frustrating when they don't, but like, come on, they're humans. They go through the same emotions you do. How would you like somebody to come in there and, roast you for what you did at your job and send your family bad stuff on social media? Like, use your head.
It's just weird because you don't usually have a historically good performance and see this.
I know, right?
Usually it's like if you have an epic fail. So, interesting, but we'll continue to monitor. Obviously, pulling for Trey tonight. Hope he shoves and does extremely well in his second postseason outing. We'll recap that tomorrow. We'll also continue to look at the Tulsa game further. We'll get more into the specifics of what to expect, what do we need to see from the Pirates, and we'll look around the American as well. We'll also catch up with Kevin Monroe, Macy O'Donnell, our usual guests in the days ahead, too. Appreciate everybody for listening. Hope everybody has a wonderful Monday. We'll catch you tomorrow at 12 noon.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Get a recap of this show at 943thegame.com and on your IBX Media app, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Tune in weekdays at noon to get your ECU sports fix with Stephen